Today, Trump picks his VP running mate, while a judge throws out his classified documents case. And Gambia votes to keep its ban on female genital mutilation. It's Tuesday, July 16th. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes every weekday. I'm Tara Oakes in Liverpool. Donald Trump making a triumphant entrance at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. 2 days after the attempt on his life, Trump walked in with a thick bandage over his right ear. The former president mouthed the words "thank you" before sitting with some of his children and US Senator J.D. Vance. Hours earlier, he had named Vance as his choice for running mate, a decision confirmed at the convention.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye!
All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. And the
39-year-old Vance was once a bitter critic of Trump, but is now a fierce loyalist. During the 2016 race, he publicly called Trump an idiot and reprehensible. Privately, he compared him to Adolf Hitler. The author of a best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, is critical of sending aid to Ukraine and has often downplayed the January 6 attack on the Capitol by Trump supporters. At the convention, Trump was also officially nominated for the third time. Our political reporter, Graham Slattery, is at the convention. So, Graham, what does Vance do strategically to Trump's bid?
Vance is seen as the more ideological choice. That said, from a pure strategy perspective, it looks like the Biden campaign's best shot at winning this election runs through the Rust Belt. In this case, that means through Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And Senator Vance, he's a product of the Rust Belt. He obviously has a lot of support, at least examining the issues that are common to deindustrialized communities. Ohio, where he's a senator, borders both Pennsylvania and Michigan. So from that perspective, if you assume, as many political observers do, that Biden has to win those Rust Belt states to have a shot at winning this election, he certainly could be seen as a somewhat counterintuitive but interesting political choice.
And from Milwaukee to Florida, where a judge has dismissed the criminal case accusing the former president of illegally holding on to classified documents. US District Court Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, ruled that the prosecutor who charged Trump was unlawfully appointed to his role. Legal reporter Andrew Goodsward has been covering those cases. Andrew, explain Cannon's reasoning here.
So the judge found that special counsel Jack Smith, who was leading 2 different criminal cases against Donald Trump, was unlawfully appointed to the role. So in 2022, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Smith to lead these 2 investigations into Trump. And the judge found that he didn't really have the authority to do that under the US Constitution, to allow Jack Smith to conduct these kind of sweeping investigations and bring these criminal cases under the Justice Department without being confirmed by the Senate and without his office being created by an act of Congress.
And so, in essence, it's a procedural complaint. It's not really that the case lacks merit or standing.
Exactly. I mean, this particular ruling didn't have anything to do with the actual allegations against Trump and his 2 co-defendants.
Was this a surprising outcome?
So I think it's somewhat surprising from a legal perspective because the Justice Department has named special counsels to oversee a lot of really high-profile investigations in the past, and there have been similar challenges made to those special counsels, and courts have pretty uniformly upheld the ability of special counsels to run these types of investigations. But I think it was less surprising in this case because this Judge Cannon, who was nominated to the bench by Trump, has really shown a real openness to Trump's arguments. And there were a number of critics of her approach to the case who said that she seemed to be looking for a way to undermine the charges or potentially throw the whole case out.
President Joe Biden is on the brink of failing to win a key Labour endorsement as leaders of a Teamsters union consider backing no candidate at all in the US presidential race. That's according to two people familiar with the matter. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters decision has not been finalised and is expected to be made in the coming weeks. Early election results in Rwanda put incumbent Paul Kagame in the lead, in a vote widely expected to extend his near quarter-century in charge of the East African country. His re-election could signal a measure of political stability for his corner of the fractured region, but also continued global scrutiny, given accusations of crackdowns on opposition before the vote and of supporting rebels in neighbouring Democratic Republic of Congo. Kagame denies the accusations.
The suspects confessed to have lured, killed and disposed 42 female bodies at the dumping site.
Amin Mohammed, Kenya's head of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, after the arrest of a suspected serial killer following the discovery of several bodies at a quarry in Nairobi. Mohammed said a 33-year-old called Collins Jumaisi had confessed to killing 42 women. The murders stretch back to 2022, starting with Jumaisi's wife, with the most recent on July 11th. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said on Monday that the 3 US inflation readings over the second quarter of this year add somewhat to the confidence that the pace of price increases is returning to the Fed's target in a sustainable fashion. Remarks that suggest a turn to interest rate cuts may not be far off. The comments are enough for markets to once again shift rate expectations, with traders anticipating 68 basis points of easing this year. A rate cut in September is now fully priced in, according to the CME FedWatch tool. And if you're interested in the decisions behind rate cuts, check out our latest edition of Reuters Econ World, hosted by Carmel Crimmins. There'll also be a new episode out tomorrow, all about risk. Check it out on your favourite podcast player. Gambia's parliament has rejected a bill to end a ban on female genital mutilation. The move to repeal the ban sparked a public and often divisive conversation in the West African country. Gambia outlawed the practice almost a decade ago, and the recent attempt to reverse that would have made Gambia the first country to legalise FGM after outlawing it. Sophia Christensen has been visiting villages to find out more.
FGM is it's been such a deeply rooted cultural practice in the Gambia. It's very much a part of being accepted, depending on the ethnic group that you're from. If you're not cut, you'll be shunned by society, you won't be married, people won't want to eat the food that you cook.
You've spoken to leaders on both sides of this debate.
We spoke to a very influential Imam, Abdul Fati, and he's a highly respected scholar in the Gambia, and he's part of the Islamic Supreme Council.
When you are practicing it, make sure you jump a little bit.
And he became one of the faces of this bill because what sparked the move to try and unban FGM was the first conviction of 3 women who were found guilty of cutting 8 little girls and fined for this. And he paid their fines, and he's taken a very clear and powerful stance in favor of FGM.
And what about the activists who fought to keep this ban in place? They did a lot of work at village level.
Fatou Balde is probably one of the most famous internationally. She travels all over the world to speak about this and women's rights, and we met her in her native village, actually.
From when you are caught, you were told that if you speak about what happened to you, that old woman is going to come back and cut you again.
And she mediated this conversation about FGM with village elders and young people and men and women.
Sumo is compulsory in Islam.
So these village level debates groups are trying to do is really just initiate conversations and just not in a bit of a patronizing way come and tell people that what they've been doing for years is not good and you should stop. But, open a conversation about why it's important for some people. And then there are also conversations about what are the health impacts that this can bring. And so what anti-FGM advocates are trying to do is kind of make it less taboo and more of a conversation topic, get men involved in these conversations as well, and not treat it as something that we can't talk about, because that's also part of what's causing the backlash against advocacy work against FGM, is that people find it a very sensitive topic, and so they feel a bit insulted by NGOs coming in and wanting to talk about this very delicate and sensitive topic.
For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. And to never miss an episode, subscribe on your favourite podcast player. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.